Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Zat. Today I'm going to be going over NNDM. It's been a while since I've done the last DD on it, but I'll put it in the description if you would like to watch it after this one, and I would recommend you do after this one. Nonetheless, this video will be standalone and cover everything you need to know. I'm going to go briefly to technical analysis because it gives you a little bit of a psychology perspective for the traders. If you would like to skip ahead towards the news and presentations, etc., you can go ahead. I'm going to go through that right after the technical analysis. Make sure to drop a like to this video to help the channel grow, subscribe, and leave notifications on, and let's jump right into it. So on a 1 week perspective, what we get to see here is an MACD that is a little bit stable, 80x that is slowly climbing up to 50. Once it climbs to 50, consider selling, because that's where reversals are likely. William %R is a little bit at a tough situation where it's overbought at this level, and momentum is recovering nicely. Moving averages do look really nicely bullish. Now, on a 1 day perspective, what we get to see is an MACD that is pulling a little bit back, so that's a dangerous level. 80x shows in a strong trend, although that last day I'll explain what was going on, because it was a really strong uptrend, and then it just flopped down. And then we look at William %R, we're looking at a little bit of a neutral level here, and momentum is still alright, but it looks like it's retracting. Now it has all the way till 373 the bounce, because that's a trading action zone where reversals are likely between the green line and the red line. 10 SMA and a 30 EMA, so it still looks bullish on a 1 day perspective, even though it dropped from almost $6 to $4.43. Now we can take a quick look into a 2 hour perspective. Get to see it is below the trading action zone. Moving averages do look like they're turning bearish, but the MACD is curving up towards the positive sense, so it looks like it might be actually recovering slowly. So that is a positive news. Average directional, we looked at the average directional index and it kind of showed us a little bit of different perspectives. Now the moving average bands here, something very useful as well that I like to use. It just kind of gives you a little bit of an insight into, well, if it's trading in within, basically that is a safe haven, but right now it's above there. So 415 on the top, 377, 339 on the bottom. You can consider those to be as supports at this level. Now, stochastic fast and stochastic slow, both of them, at least the stochastic fast shows in a pullback. Stochastic slow shows that possible pullback, but it might have another leg up. So that's what it tells us. Supports and resistances on the Fibonacci retracements: 390 as a support, 325, 261, a resistance at 482 and $6. Now taking a quick look into single supports and resistances, let's zoom in a little bit here so you can actually see for y'all on mobile phones. So current support sits at 432, below there 412, below there we're looking at 377, below there we're looking at 347, below 347, 335, below 335 we're looking at 307, below 307 to 286. Now resistances: 444, 459, 477, $5, and then all the way to 516, 533, and all the way up to the 587 mark, and then pushing through to the $6. Now let's jump right into news and everything I can find about this one. Now I'm gonna go basically through the presentations, but before then, taking a quick look into institutional buyers. Nothing significant. I don't find any data here at this level. By the way, this is not sponsored by Best Buy. It's just keep bombarding me with ads. Anyway, now their company model or their business model is mainly on multiple things, including 3D printed system for space applications, RF systems, and these are more of either flexible bands or something like motherboards or chips, etc. So they have a technology here. It's called the DragonFly LDM. It's a system in a one-stop solution for agile hardware development and innovative circuit designs across a wide array of industries. It empowers companies to securely control entire development cycles through in-house additive manufacturing of PCBs and non-planar electronics with speed and precision, while reducing R&D costs, research and development costs. While it's light out digital manufacturing LDM printing technology, this is the industry only comprehensive manufacturing printing platform for round-the-clock 3D printing electronic circuitry. So some of the capabilities for the cases is, well, probably if you're not in the industry, it's not going to make sense, so I'm going to go through the presentation after this. For RF antenna, vertically stacked integrated circuits, 3D MIDs, coils and inductors, low-pass filters, AME circuits with integrated functional capacitors, Wi-Fi access points, and circuits with side-mounted inserted components. Alright, in applications including research, aerospace, defense, medical, and automotive industry. Quite important for space because what happens is when you're up there, let's say International Space Station, it is tough to keep on getting, you know, if you need a part, so you need to get really creative. And 3D printed technologies, or 3D printed RF systems and boards are quite important up there. So, moving on. Their products go on through DragonFly systems, materials, and SolidWorks add-ons. Okay, so that's kind of their part of their solutions. Now they do have a bunch more. If you go through around, you go to solutions, AME technologies, LDS system, materials, software, capabilities, use cases, certifications. There's a bunch on there. All right, right here. Moving on, presentation. This is where a lot of the good stuff comes in. So I'm not going to go through every single thing, but if you'd like to go on, this is what they have in terms of the presentation: executive summary, business model, technology, market, business and times of Corona, strategy and tactics, and appendix. So, additive manufacturing, AME, industry leader, that was what I'm talking about. First to market advantage, the only technology that converts digital electronic circuits into functional high-performance devices, with approximately 60 systems sold worldwide already, and increasing recurring revenue of proprietary, conductive, and dielectrical materials. With a strong cash position, 107. Well, of course, I'll show you why they have a lot of cash. So DragonFly LDM ink and material, so they basically, it's mainly used for this one, not for high manufacturing or high volume manufacturing, but mainly in research and development and prototyping, from my understanding. And so they have high performance electrical devices, high PEDs. I'm not going to go through the technicals because, well, if you're like me, I'm a civil engineer with a passion of technology. I get to understand it, but for a bunch of folks out there, it might be a little bit difficult when you start saying technical terms. So upsides, basically, is that this one here is gives you a bit more of stage, where stage 0, where you're going to be using it. And that's where your prototyping and a lot of failure happens when you have to go on and send it to manufacturer and then wait on. You can right on start prototyping and testing the systems right on. So that sounds quite exciting when you're looking into speeding up the research developments. So the next thing here is their two kind of systems. So they have the 3D printing systems and 3D fabrication services for production of high PEDs. So they either manufacture for you and prototype, or you can just get the system and print it. They have 3 multi-billion US dollar defense manufacturers, 2 European defense companies, and multiple secret services, 1 multi-billion US value technology conglomerate, multiple leading research institutes around the world. So quite exciting there. And so basically a return on investment prototyping. So here's the difference. When you go on to design to ECAD, that's the same thing. Proof of concept and prototyping and testing, that usually takes weeks. But with their system, for POC and prototyping and testing, only takes days. And then you can move on towards tooling and production. That's under the Nano Dimension AME systems. So that's because you're getting in-house rapid prototyping, as I mentioned earlier. The next thing here is the Nano Dimension AME system. This is look in terms of here. This is for prototyping. This is for production. If you're looking for production, you can have it in weeks instead of months for the entire cycle. Oh, that is exciting as well. Here's the difference between the PCBs and AME circuits. You get to see it has a new design feasibilities where it can kind of cross through rather than have it more stacked. That's something to consider. How it works is basically you chat, that's for the Nano's fabrication services. You chat with an expert, send your CAD, and your parts and printed are effectively shipped to you. So straightforward. So basically all of these operations that are usually there for manufacturing boards, etc., cutting, installing, etc., goes on into one printing services or one printer. How does it work? Both conductive and insulator subtracts are printed, so basically it's fully 3D printed installations and conductors. Both materials are activated in real time, only on the fly, 100% fully additive process. So the objective is to build layer by layer, very much off as normal 3D printing if you have seen it in action. Certification, they have the ISO 1400, ISO 45001, OHSAS 18001, and a bunch of other certifications that are usually there for meeting boards and safety requirements. So, two things you're looking at: rapid rapid prototyping and advanced product type fabrication. can go on towards the main things: reducing prototyping, research and development costs, full confidentiality or IP protection, reduce assembly step by printing components, reduce size and weight products, improve products performance, on-site per demand production for spare parts, no tooling costs, and reduce environmental waste. This one here is really massive when you're either in remote areas, in a war zone, or in National Space Station or in space. Basically, yep, I already mentioned this one here. Kind of already mentioned this one. Talking about, so they got more than 3 dozen patents onto this one here, so you can guess that, you know, by the time someone tries to bring a copy of this one, is probably they will already have a market already, massive market share. So they have up to 50 layers of complex multi-layer PCB material, no need for drilling, so that's kind of exciting there. AME HiPads, which is beyond traditional manufacturing. They have real 3D embedded electronics for heterogeneous integration, electro or MEMS sensors, transmissions, etc. is integrated on it. Multi-stacking option, high layer count for circuits above 50, converter and chargers for either DC and AC, RF and MW embedded components, non-planar shape or 3D structural, so you can have it in any kind of shape you need since you're 3D printing it. 3D printed electronic components including capacitor, inductor, transformers, and antenna, which are usually needed for such boards. Financial data, I'm going to go through it in a second. Yeah, and the rest I don't think we need to cover it. I already covered it in my last video. So moving on. The reason that it really dropped in terms of price is they're selling around $100 million at 4 per share for their offerings. And one thing that I want to show you all is the kind of frequencies of the offerings they have. All right, so this is their news. All right, offering on the first page, moving on to the second offering, and then we move on to the 4th page, offering. And then we move on, well, that's the same thing. And another offering. So it's honestly astonishing that they have all these offerings instead of having for direct investments. But part of it is, alright, well, how does it recover from offerings? And it looks like it's recovered, at least in the last couple of months, really nicely from offerings. Really didn't damage it that much. Next, going on. Their earnings, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to quickly compare their 3rd quarter, their 2nd quarter, and their 1st quarter. So we're starting with the first. Their total assets is around 15.9. What I'm going to mention here is 15.9 in thousands, so keep that in mind. The total current assets, 15.9. Going here, 11.03. So a little bit of decrease and 11.9 back up. So, alright, it looks like they had a bump in the middle. That's due to COVID as well. Total assets. It's right now 26.7, came from 20, almost 4, came from 29. So kind of recovery, quarter 1 was a lot better than quarter 2. We kind of understand that. Total stockholder equity 29.3, looking at 24, and we're looking at 26. So there's that. It's very much the same information. Now comes on towards the revenue. Revenues, we're looking at a total, let's do just pure revenue. 1.689, and then we're looking to 2.85, and then now we're looking at 5.09. So a lot of improvement here in terms of revenues. Let's take a look at operating costs or operating loss. 11.7 currently, 8.4 previously, and we're looking at 3.7. It's getting worse and worse and worse. Alright, so let's see the anomaly here. We're looking at research and development expenses. That has been increasing, as you get to see. Meanwhile, the sales and marketing expenses, it also has increased, and the general administrative expenses increased. So they're increasing their costs while revenues do increase, but not enough to cover that cost. Look at the cost of revenue. 3.1, here it's 1.9. So the cost of revenue is increasing, but the research, development, sales, marketing expenses, and general administrative expenses is increasing. So I'm not liking that. Total comprehensive loss is 6.9 here. Previously, it was 2.6, and quarter before that even is 1.47. So it looks like it's continuing to kind of have this kind of loss. So it's a little bit annoying when we're looking at it, but what do you think about this one? Right. The chart is a little bit not beautiful. Okay, so this is all the way back in 2016. But I'll definitely buy it for dips, right? I'll buy it for a small swing if I know catalysts are coming up. But it looks like, you know, they're raising a lot of money through offerings and offerings and offerings, and that's kind of obvious at this point. But there is potentials for breakthroughs. I know there's merger kind of rumors going on, but take them as rumors and focus on what's at stake here. So will it break the $6? Would you buy it at $6? Not really. Would you buy an entry at $4? Sure, because that's the direct offering price. Would you buy a 3? Yeah, sounds right. So I wouldn't go all in. I would scale it in if I want to buy into this. Similarly, if it reaches $6, that's your first PT. Sell a little, then sell and sell and sell. You can't, with things like this one here, it can either drop hard or rip up. It depends on volumes, and you know, sometimes trader psychology is on paper. This one does have a future. It does have future. The product is amazing, yet their financials need to be worked on. That's my only concern. And you can get to see, because their financials not worked on, you continue to do a lot of offering. That is my only criticism on this one. Other than this, I'm all for the technology. What do you think about this sticker? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like. Have a wonderful day.